Now we're going to factor the standard form of a quadratic function when a is equal to 1, this form. And here we have 3 examples. Notice all 3 examples, a is equal to 1. A is the coefficient in front of the x squared term. So notice that here a is equal to 1, a is equal to 1, and a is equal to 1. So we're going to concentrate on factoring the standard form of the quadratic function when a is 1. And I'm going to show you a little trick to do that. Remember, the number in front of the x squared term is a, the number in front of the x term is b, and the number that is a constant, that's your c. So this is c, this is b. b is 10. Okay, so this is the trick. The trick is you draw an x. And here in this part of the x, you're going to write c, and in the bottom, you're going to write b. So this is how it should look like. C is 24, so I'm going to write 24 here, and b is 10. Now here's the trick. 24 I need to break into 2 factors that multiply to get 24, and those same 2 factors will add to make 10. So what 2 factors can I break 24 into that will add to 10? I think about very quickly 6 times 4. 6 times 4 will give you 24, and 6 plus 4 will give you 10. So these are the 2 numbers that I need to write this expression in factored form. And the setup for the standard form of the quadratic function is always 2 parentheses. The first term inside the parentheses is x. X times x is x squared. The other 2 numbers that we're going to write here are the numbers that we found, 6 and 4. The 2 numbers that when I multiply together give me 24, and that when I add together, they give me 10. So this is the answer. This is how you factor this expression. Now you can do FOIL to check that when you multiply these 2 binomials, you get back what you had originally. And this is what you would do to check that. X plus 6 times x plus 4. I don't know if you remember FOIL, but you multiply the first term with the first term, and you get x squared. You multiply that same term by the other term, and you get 4x. Then you take the second term times the first term, and you get 6x. And then you take that same second term and you multiply by the other one, and you get 24. And now we simplify by combining like terms, and I have x squared. 4x's plus 6x's make 10x's plus 24. And do you see you get back what you had originally? That means that this factorization is correct. Let's do example 2. Here's example 2. A is equal to 1, so I can use the little trick that I taught you. You make an x. In this spot, you write what your c is, which is 40. And in the bottom, you write what b is. Now, b here is negative 13. And now you ask yourself, what 2 numbers do I multiply together and make 40, and do I add together to make negative 13? I know 8 times 5 is 40, and 8 plus 5 is 13. So I'm going to use 8 and 5. 8 times 5 is 40, and 8 plus 5 is 13. But the little trick here is that I don't have positive 13. I have negative 13. So what do I do to 8 and to 5 to make them add to negative 13? Well, you make 8 negative, and you make 5 negative. And we check again. Does negative 8 times negative 5 give you positive 40? Yes. Does negative 8 plus negative 5 give you negative 13? Yes. So these are the numbers that you're looking for. So you write the setup, and the setup is always x and x, and the numbers that go next to that are the numbers that you found. Negative 8, negative 5, and this is your answer. And you can use FOIL to check it out. So let's check this out. X minus 8 times x minus 5. You take the first term times the first term, you get x squared. That same term with the last one, you get negative 5x. Then you take this one times x, negative 8 times x is negative 8x. And negative 8 times negative 5 makes positive 40. And you simplify by combining like terms, you get x squared minus 13x plus 40. You do get back what you had originally. That means that this answer that you found is correct. And this would be your answer. This is just the check part of it, which you don't have to do, but it's a good idea to do it just to make sure that you're right. Let's do example 3. Notice a is equal to 1, and this is the standard form of a quadratic function, so I can do that little trick. Notice c is equal to negative 24, and b is equal to negative 5. So now you have to find two numbers that multiply together to make 24 and add together to make 5. So I know 8 times 3 is 24, and 8 minus 3 makes 5. So those two might work. Let's see. 8 times 3 is 24, and 8 minus 3 equals 5. So how do I make these two numbers subtract each other? Well, I can make one negative and the other one positive. If I make one of them negative and the other one positive, then I will add them and they will subtract to make 5. But I don't want positive 5, I want negative 5. So that tells me that the negative one has to be the biggest one. It has to be 8. 8 has to be negative because when I add negative 8 plus 3, I'll get negative 5. Also, negative 8 times 3 gets you negative 24. So let's do our setup. Here's our setup. I have x times x, and I have negative 8 plus 3. And this is your answer. And again, you can check by doing FOIL. Let's check just to make sure. X times x, x squared. X times positive 3, 3x. Negative 8 times x, minus 8x. And negative 8 times positive 3, negative 24. We simplify by combining like terms, and you get what you had originally. So this is correct. This answer is perfect. Go back and try these on your own and see if you get the same answer.